In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a whitetail bedding area. So here we are in my in the bedding area that I made about 2 years ago. And so I'm going to be going step by step what I did and what I'm going to do. And I'm still not finished with this bedding area, even though it's doing really good right now. I'm still not finished with it yet because I'm going to add some more stuff to it. But building and creating a switchgrass or a bedding area in general, you got to have some resources. You got to have time to plant, time to get the seed, and just have the seed. And it's pretty easy to make. So what I have right here, this is all switchgrass. I'll show you an aerial photo from a drone. This is all switchgrass that I planted. It's going to be entering its 3rd year of growing season in just a couple weeks, and it's already about 6 foot tall, especially in the back. And so what I did is I planted the switchgrass, and there's a video of how to plant switchgrass on my channel. And so just look that up if you need to learn how to plant switchgrass. But I planted this switchgrass, and then I planted these cedar trees right inside the switchgrass line. So what you want is you want switchgrass on the first row, and then behind that row you want cedar trees, and then behind that row you want some sort of bush. And so you want that layering, you want that diversity for the deer. Deer love diversity, they're creatures of edge, and they want that edge habitat, that diversity habitat. And so that's what we have really good right here, and this is a really good representation. Not so much over here on the other side, but there's one. This is the first pocket, then there's the second pocket, but I really like this first pocket because we have the switchgrass, which is our that's our first layer. Then we come back in here, we have the cedar tree right here, and just when it grows up, it'll be our second layer. It's in the 3rd layer right now, which is in the bush, the thorn bush. But that'll be the switchgrass right here, the cedar tree, which will be really high in a couple years. It'll be growing really good and provide a lot of good cover. We'll have that cedar tree grow, and then we'll have we have this bush behind it, this thorny stuff, which is really, the deer really like that, and especially the rabbits and the small game, that keeps them safe, and the deer will hide in this thorn stuff as well. So those are the 3 layers that I have in this bedding area, and those are the 3 layers that you want. And so find a place with goldenrod or just something that's growing that's not providing good cover. So that's what I did. I cut all this goldenrod out. I took away all this goldenrod. I planted switchgrass. Switchgrass is doing way better. It's way better for the deer. I actually saw a rabbit run through here just a little bit ago, because those are good. That's a good indicator that we have good. If you have good small habitat species, if you have good small game species, then you're going to have good whitetail habitat, and that's what we have here. Has a couple rabbits run through here. And so just make sure you have that layering. You have the switchgrass, you have the trees, you have the bushes, and then after the bushes, what I want to put in is some red osier dogwood, some silky dogwood. And so that's what I'm going to be doing this year. I'm going to be putting in that silky dogwood, and then probably after that I'll be done with this bedding area, and it'll be providing really, really good cover. And I've spooked 6 deer back here bedding before. I spooked them last summer, and there's a lot of good habitat right in this little spot, and it's really good representation because we have some little trees growing. You want those little trees growing in your bedding areas as well, just for extra cover and for them to browse on. Just those trees that are about this tall, those really small trees that don't really get bigger than that, and they can eat on those, they can browse on those during the bedding areas, because they need food in their bedding areas. You don't want to plant a food plot right next to your bedding area. You don't want to plant in your bedding area, because then it's not a bedding area, it's a food plot. And so making sure you have that natural woody browse in your bedding areas is very important. And so that's what that red osier dogwood and somewhat the silky dogwood as well. But hopefully we can plant those in this bedding area this year, and we'll be seeing a lot more deer in this bedding area this year as well. So make sure you have that layering. There's 4 different layers. You got your switchgrass, your trees, your big bush or your thorns, that really kind of thick cover that they're not going to get into very much, but they're going to use the outside of it, which is like we have this thorny stuff right here. And then we're going to add the red osier dogwood and the silky dogwood after that. So that'll be a really good bedding area. In a couple of years, this will be a really good bedding area. And so we've done kind of the same thing over probably 400 yards away in the other bedding area. Planted hybrid willow trees, planted a couple conifer trees, and I'm still need to plant some silky dogwood and some red osier dogwood. So for the most part, most of the bedding is done. They'll bed in this right now, but they're not going to stay in it because they don't have enough food. During the summer, they definitely will stay in it because they have this food everywhere. There's a bunch of green vegetation in the bedding area. But during the hunting season, when I want them to be bedding here the most, they really need that red osier dogwood, and they really need that silky dogwood as well. So that's what we're going to be doing this year. Like I said, they'll use it for the hunting season, but they're not going to stay in it consistently. And so that's what I really want, that consistency, and I want them to be staying in here a lot during the hunting season. So the only thing we need to add is we could add a couple trees back in the back, but those aren't very important. All we need is some natural browse bushes and shrubs, and then we need that red osier dogwood, which is natural browse shrub. And so that'll really be good for this bedding area during the hunting season, and hopefully we can get that done by the end of this year. And then next year, once that red osier dogwood's growing, that silky dogwood's growing, the trees are growing, the switchgrass is growing, this will be a really thick and really good thermal protection for the deer during the winter months and during the hunting season. And for the majority of the year, they're going to be in here during the entire year pretty much, once we get all those habitat features in here. So make sure you have those 4 different types of layering, switchgrass, trees, conifer trees. Then you have your bushes, your big thorn bushes. Doesn't have to be thorn bushes. I probably prefer some different bush. And your red osier dogwood and silky dogwood. And that'll really help you to make sure that you have really good habitat and a really good bedding area that you can create on your property this year. And it'll only take, if you do everything in 1 year, I've kind of progressed over the years and just added on to the bedding area. But if you do switchgrass, trees, bushes, and shrubs all in 1 year, you'll be providing cover for the deer in less than a year or 2. And that's fast. That is very fast for creating a whitetail bedding area. So hopefully that helps you. I hope that this, if you're creating bedding areas, which we'll be doing here in just a couple weeks when the spring green up hits. And so hopefully you can be doing that, and you'll have these good bedding areas to help you hold deer on your land during the hunting season.